Hey, how are you? Kumusta po kayo? And thanks for tuning in to another edition, Paul Presents Art. My name is Paul and I'll be your guide today. And today I brought you over to CSA Space Gallery here in Vancouver, which is of course built on the ancestral territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. And we're going to go and have a look at an exhibition of textile works by artist Christian Newby titled Spring Onion. You can see some of the paintings, or I should say some of the weavings behind me, and I hope you can join me for the tour, and let's do it. So we're just about to enter the gallery. CSA Space is one of those galleries that allow you to be alone with the work. You can even lock the door if you want. As is customary in my videos, I'm doing a pan of the show to give you an idea of the exhibition's layout. For now, let me share a short bio on the artist. Christian Newby is concerned with the activities of assemblage and re-assemblage, capturing key moments within this interchange. The textiles in this exhibition foregrounds process as a visible condition. They remain provisional rather than finished, registering decisions, adjustments, and gestures that ordinarily remain unseen. By redirecting attention to these underlying pathways, the work repositions the object as a site of encounter with labor and materiality, making perceptible the social relations embedded within the built environment and the practices that sustain its continual formation. If you're new to the channel, please know that this channel is about art, exhibitions in contemporary, historical, and outsider art, group shows, art collections, etc. I live in Vancouver, Canada, so most of my videos will be based in that region, but I'll cover exhibitions as I travel. The first work is titled Mesh Thinking, Drawing on Paper, framed, undated, although it may be dated on the verso of the work, I don't know, and I don't have access to that, so we'll simply move on. This drawing introduces the ideas behind the textile works we're about to see. It was drawn using a comic book storyboard style. That begins the narrative which, in my opinion, weaves together aspects of work and labor, materiality, tactility, time, and, most importantly, what the mesh represents. Seeing this work and the textiles in the exhibition, the phrase fabric of time suddenly came to me. We'll go through these ideas and each of the works in the show as we progress through. For now, let's examine the work titled Spring Onion, Tufted Wool Drawing, approximately 3 by 2 meters, and it's undated, but likely started around or after 2020. I use the word started as a reference point to indicate no particular ending, as these textile drawings are in a way unfinished and may remain that way until such time that the artist sees fit to finish them. I also want to start by defining what a mesh is, which I feel is very important within the material context of this show. So, what is a mesh? According to the dictionary's definition, a mesh is a barrier made of interlaced strands of metal, fiber, or ductile materials. The interlaced patterning is often composed of vertical and horizontal lines. This interlacing gives the mesh structure, strength, durability, and a consistent foundation to hold threading material, such as yarn and other strands of fibers. As we examine the textile drawing closely, you'll likely notice that areas of the work are threadbare, with other areas being densely covered. There's also a looseness to the application of the thread through the mesh. The method used by the artist to apply the thread onto the mesh is quick but considered, much like a painter applying paint to canvas. The word quick isn't exactly the word I'd use when referring to sewing, embroidery, or carpet making, but if one uses a carpet tufting gun, then quick would definitely apply. Would that qualify as the antithesis toward traditional, time-consuming, and laborious textile works? Just some food for thought. But before we go any further, I want to share something. When I visited the gallery, I ran into an artist friend whose studio was nearby. It was an auspicious meeting, as apparently he knows the artist well. So I proceeded to ask him about the artist, his artistic methodology, and the show. It's during this casual conversation that the carpet tufting gun was mentioned. My friend, who will remain anonymous for his own protection, I'm thinking he'd like some privacy. He actually couldn't remember what the device was called, so I googled it and discovered more about the carpet tufting gun. A carpet tufting gun is a powerful tool for creating rugs and textile art by rapidly punching yarn through a stretched fabric backing, like a mesh. The gun creates loops of yarn on one side of the fabric and offers a flexible and efficient way to design custom rugs for both home use and mass production. Once the design is finished, a flexible, transparent gel-like layer is often applied to keep the tufted yarn in place. Without this layer, the yarn from the carpet remains unfixed and may unravel over time. I'll get back to this train of thought a bit later. For now, I'd like to concentrate on the design elements in the textile. The overall sense of the textile drawing from afar has the look of a drawing, perhaps using an oil stick or crayon. It has that grainy quality that appears both fixed and unfixed. The motif used seems to reference an iron gate, with various finials affixed to the top, an arrowhead maybe, or a fleur-de-lis with crescent accents, and a spider web, which, in a way, represents an organic mesh, where trapped insects become the tufted elements of a design. The decision to unfix the textile drawing embraces a deconstructive creative element that not only confronts temporality through decay, but also idealizes the creative impulse through a utopic, unfinished destiny. I'll expand on that in a bit. Meanwhile, let's move on to the next work titled Raspberry Jail, Tufted Wool Drawing, 2020, approximately 3 by 2 meters. Do you see it? The raspberries poking through the fence or guardrail? They look massive from a distance. And of course, the fence or guardrail, as a unifying motif in the design, comments on the mesh as the foundation for the textile drawing or tapestry. Is it right to call it a tapestry? I have to admit, I hadn't thought to call these textile drawings tapestries. It just came to me, and I think it's appropriate to call it that, as these works somehow record some moment in time. When the word tapestry is uttered, I tend to reference historic textile works, such as the Bayeux Tapestry, for example. Created in the 11th century, it depicts the story of William the Conqueror's conquest of England in 1066 during the Battle of Hastings. The tapestry is presumed to have been commissioned by Odo, Bishop of Bayeux, William the Conqueror's half-brother. In lieu of literature, books, and paintings, tapestries have the capacity to record history or moments in time. Tapestries of this significance tend to record important events of the day, like battles, coronations, even fairy tales and such. However, as we progress forward through time, contemporary moments, especially the ubiquitous daily observations, also become topics deemed worthy of remembrance. But what does that say about these moments or events when the textile medium itself is temporary and finite? As I mentioned earlier, the textile drawings in this show are unfixed. Therefore, their stories and visual commentaries are but finite glimpses into our contemporary lives, destined to be deconstructed and eventually forgotten. What does that say about the lives we are living today? As our attention spans grow shorter due to our technology, are our memories still worthy of being remembered for future generations? Because, in a way, the unfinished state of these textile drawings defy longevity, and from an artistic point of view, acknowledges the finite lives that we live. Who wants to live forever? Do you? In the case of raspberries, they don't last very long. They are fleeting moments of sweetness, meant to be enjoyed while in season. Then they die back, only to renew itself next season. I'll leave you with that thought to ponder. I'm getting my camera to hover over the work in order to admire the textures, with the barren spaces complementing the tufted yarns that are still in place. I was told that when they were installing the works, there were bits of thread and yarn on the floor. The artist didn't seem to mind. In his view, these unfixed textile drawings are doing exactly what they are meant to do, being temporary and expressive. From afar, they do have both a painterly and expressionistic element to them. Being this close to the surface makes them appear like abstracted topographies with multidimensional undulations, forming mountains and lakes of color and texture. As these works are displayed, then packed away, then unpacked, resurrected, and displayed once again, the threads flatten and form veins, or capillaries, perhaps even mycelial networks that age, fade, and die back, just like raspberry canes. I use my finger to give a sense of scale, and to feel the soft yarns, but be gentle. This is not how we treat art. But then again, aren't most textiles meant for the body, as protection and adornment? And if someone mentions that our bodily oils would ruin textiles, maybe they should just walk around naked. That's a thought. And now we approach the last work in the show, titled Swatch, tufted wool drawing, approximately 3 by 2 meters. It's undated, but likely started after 2020, like the rest of the work in the show. As I recall, that year was the start of the COVID pandemic. It never really went away, but that was a time of isolation and dread. But it was also a time where we mostly stayed at home, and as a result, a surge in home-based economies thrived. There was a time a few decades ago it was referred to as home economics. Due to the pandemic, people started working from home, taking care of plants, renovating their place, and starting a multitude of home-based crafts. Ceramic and textile arts became very popular, as they are creative activities that can be pursued in the home and in solitude. Perhaps that's how the artist discovered the carpet tufting gun. You think? Just a theory. As I panned through this work, I noticed a wooden stick holding up the textile drawing. They're all held like that. It lends a precarious edge to the work, enhances its temporariness, and funnily enough, becomes part of the work. As the textile drawings expose the mesh underneath, these wooden supports make sense as a temporary but foundational element. I also noticed some unconventional materials like raffia, tufted like yarn through the mesh. Viewed from a short distance away, there is an unmistakable geometric diamond pattern that distinctly references the mesh architecture underneath. The lines appear soft, like crayon or oil stick, and it's an uncanny and non-traditional result from a textile work. Textiles with embroidery and needlepoint often have clearly articulated designs and subject matter, but these textile drawings seem to embrace the abstraction that the tufting action creates, and therefore distinguishes it from conventional textile works. I love how the loose threads remain untethered and ready to fall, as if in a state of decay or ruin. And I just had a thought. What if moths were introduced to the work? Will they embrace the composition? Moths as creative collaborators? Perhaps that's the next step in this work's evolution. What do you think? Earlier, I mentioned this artist friend of mine, who happens to know Christian Newby, the artist in this exhibition. During his visit, we chatted for a bit about the work. My friend said that he'd witnessed Christian working on the textile drawings, and commented that his movements and his composure as he wielded his carpet tufting gun onto the mesh underlay is like a painter wielding a paintbrush onto canvas. Perhaps I exaggerate, but that's how I remembered it. It was described as an immediate and fluid motion, something that I wouldn't think of when textile works are concerned. Fluidity and immediacy are not the usual descriptors I'd associate with when thinking about textile works. Designs are often drafted, the placement of the yarn planned, etc., but I suppose with the right tool and a conceptual artistic sensibility, these descriptors capture the feeling I get from seeing and experiencing these works. When I first got wind of this show, I thought, oh, not another textile show, really? But I'm glad I came to see it, and more so, experience it. The conceptual framework imbued within these textile drawings, referencing materiality, expressionism, labor, fluidity, longevity, and deconstruction, provides me with much anticipated creative fodder for later contemplation. And perhaps that's a good place to leave things. I hope you enjoyed this tour of Christian Newby's exhibition of textile drawings here at CSA Space Gallery. If you'd like to share your thoughts, observations, questions, please do so in the comment section below. That would be great. Click the like button and be sure to subscribe to the channel. It's free, and as a non-monetized channel, subscribing achieves visibility and creates added awareness of the artist and the gallery. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. Thank you for joining me today. Have a great day, and I hope art continues to inform your life. Tune in again next time for more art-related videos. Goodbye!